Okay, now this is writing and 3x5 cards. Bail. And this is, as you saw maybe just then, page 12. I'll just start reading. The top of these 3x5 cards, of these two, says integers. I asked the Lord, quote, real roses and artificial roses are so very similar, yet so very opposite. How can that be? He responded, they are like integers. I understood the concept only a little, and the implications were unsettling, so I looked up integers. It's fascinating and somewhat scary. Absolute values, the addition of, subtraction of, multiplication of. Well, if plus and minus are linear, addition and subtraction are linear, and x and the other thing, and multiplication and division are two-dimensional, would fission and fusion be three-dimensional? Then would God pouring His Spirit into us be on the same order as us pouring our strength into the web? I put a question mark. That's the end of that 3x5. Right underneath it I wrote, this is not just theoretical. No, rhetorical. This is not just rhetorical. I really do wonder. So sometimes a person will ask a question when they're speaking, and they just want to get you to think about things. But because they already know the answer to it. But I really do wonder in this case. Okay, the bottom one, and here comes the wind, and the clouds are thick up there right now. Integers continued. There are some important things yet to be understood about this concept of integers. Someone who talks to God and is capable in math, by His grace, should scout out the implications. Like when we multiply a killer, an antibiotic, times a killer, a damaging bacteria, that is, a negative times a negative, and get a positive, preserving life. That's good. But on the other hand, that would mean that we ought to keep man-made things at arm's length, to keep their effect on us simple, like addition and subtraction. Because loving things might turn out to be multiplication, and that would be dangerous. It's just something to think about. Okay, next page. Two more. Oh, should I show you? There, I hope you can see it all. A mosquito just landed on my arm, but I got him. I hope you don't mind. Sorry, mosquito. Mixture. They found a way of fusing death to life, good choices to bad ones, sickness to health, so that you can't have one without getting the other. Freedom and captivity used to be two different things. Education and ignorance used to be, generally speaking, two separate conditions. Strength and weakness, likewise, were largely exclusive. Wisdom was linked to greatness, and goodness to peace. But it's not like that anymore. And then the bottom card, in and of itself, quote unquote. We often hear people say that something or other isn't bad in and of itself. But how many things exist in and of themselves? That is to say, how many things exist so independently, so apart from their environment, that it is worth considering them in and of themselves? Most things have a purpose, or at least an effect on our lives. The way a thing affects our lives determines how we treat it. We don't spend time and effort considering how a mosquito is a fine creature in and of itself. As it is active and out to get us, we respond appropriately. And that is funny, because you saw me, unless somebody chops this video up and makes it simpler, just now a mosquito was on my hand and I tapped it, and then I went on to read this page. But you got to figure out, how are things affecting your life or society or this world? Lord, what do we do about it? Don't just, well, it's fine. It doesn't, it's fine in and of itself. Yeah, but what's it doing? And it's important. So that's why I wrote it. Okay, the next one. Now it's been 5 minutes, and I am getting cold. So I may have to stop this and put on my sweater. That'd be a good idea. I better do that. I'll be right back. Okay. I hit the pause button, not the stop button. There we go. I fixed my hair too. Maybe it's better. But I'm still here in the same place. Okay, this one is page 14. I'll turn it down. There you go. Turn it back again. For by him were all things created, that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him, by God, and for him. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. That's found in Colossians chapter 1, verses 16 and 17. Then the middle part, I think I'll just read the middle part to you next, is the 3x5 card. Click and unclick. I had a dream. I remember this. I had a dream. God said, watch carefully. This is hydrogen. This is oxygen. It was just two vague things in front of me in the dream. Then I saw them meander around, closer together, then farther away, then closer together again. Then God put them together just right. Click. So that then there was water. Good, pure, life-sustaining water. He showed the process to me again. And then he said, this, click, is my work. This, unclick, taking molecules apart, is man's work. The dream ended, and I woke up. Underneath that, see guys, should I explain? Hey, the next page explains it somewhat, so I'll read the verse at the bottom is John 10:10. The thief cometh not, but for to steal, to kill, and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. Jesus said that. John 10:10. Okay, the next page does some to explain. I may have to explain more as I know how these things fit together, but I'll try it. Oh, I'm supposed to show you. That tells me I'm supposed to, but I think to do that. So there you go. There are 3x5s on this page, page 15. The top one says, twice dead. Most man-made plastics got their substance from living things. I don't know if all of them do, but that material was broken down and then fused together in such a way as to never break down again. No microorganism can eat or even bore a hole in the stuff. Plastic, nylon, that sort of thing. Before the advent of these plastics, almost all organic material remained usable and reusable forever. But man enslaves the material, binds it in chains forever, and life cannot enter. The middle 3x5, hand over fist. I'm not just self-righteously fussing about all this. I myself use plastics hand over fist. But is this not disrespectful of how God set things up to work? The things should work together, at least in the long run. I don't listen to the media. I have heard something of the extremes the environmentalists are willing to go to, but I didn't get it from there. I got it from God. He pointed out the structure of things, and it was He who pointed out that man disassembles things with abandon. and how man often assembles things with little consideration for what it might come to. That's the end of that 3x5. The bottom 3x5. Breaking the chain of giving. Quote, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. End quote. That's found in John chapter 12, verse 24. This is one of the principles of life. Jesus gave his life for us, and we are to follow his example. But now this breaking of that God-ordained chain of giving and receiving, this creation of absolute servitude, plastic things and plastic people, excluding and being excluded from life, is this not the antithesis of that other principle that Jesus embodied? Is not this principle therefore antichrist? Next page. Just wonder, because until they invented plastics, which is only about 100 years old, until they invented how to do that, I speak of it in writing about molecules. I think that's the book that I wrote about this, about plastics, and how I got a book and it was explaining how plastics are made. Wow, that's interesting, but the principles about it are worth considering. I better go on here at the moment. This is page 16. Replacing life with machines, etc. Oh, I didn't take a picture of it. There you go. Replacing life with machines, etc. There is a reoccurring theme in this age of technology. Discover some desirable function or essence, then invent a way to manufacture or synthesize it, replacing the weak and vulnerable living elements with plastic or metal. We have been doing this for so long, replacing silk with rayon, replacing weavers with textile factories, replacing horses with cars, and friendships with TV, etc., that we haven't stopped to notice that life is becoming more and more scarce within and around us. Machines may be useful, but they don't add life. Every smidgen of life comes from God. That's the end of that 3x5. And go ahead and pause things. Stop and think about things, because I probably better not stop for you. Okay, the second and bottom 3x5, called Historically Speaking. The thing that really gets me is that precisely when, historically speaking, we, humankind, began cutting and splicing molecules to make plastics, the plastics enabled us to insulate electricity and make motion pictures, which came together to imitate reality and promote mass production of plastics, electricity, and technology, while causing a kind of fission and fusion within society and the individual, till we have become like plastics ourselves, insensitive, implacable, and, we might wish, invulnerable. But our bodies and minds and spirits can't stand the strain. Is this comeuppance? A word my mom used for consequences. Is this consequences? I'll leave it at that. Page 19. I'll turn it around. It's the start of, oh yeah. Do I show you all the pages? That's one of, and it's about loving, this one. And then there's another couple pages, but I'll start right here. A letter to friends about loving. That's the title I put at the top. Dear guys, I just wrote 2 essays, just short ones, about loving. I'll put them with this letter. The thing is, this letter that is this page. I had already wrote other ideas down, and then I'm writing this one explaining. I'll put them with this letter. The thing is, well, brace yourself, because I just dumped ideas onto paper late last night, and as yet they are not all trimmed and proper. With the wind blowing, I better... Can you see it up there? With the wind blowing, I'd better hold it closer so you can hear me. Even if you don't see me, that's fine. Hey, that's really just fine. Let's put it that way. Let's see. Well, brace yourself, because I just dumped ideas onto paper late last night, and as yet they're not all trimmed in proper. I could have waited and then gone back and refined them before I sent them. But you see, I had tough questions to crack, and I'd rather share with you the struggle than just wait till I have the answers and give you those, if indeed I ever have the answers. The struggle, the questions, are about loving. People go in for rock climbing, or quilting, or electronic games, etc., but they don't seem to love anymore. But on the other hand, how do I know? I don't go a lot of places. I don't see a lot of people. But the people I do see make me wonder sometimes. Kelly. And I use made-up names instead of our own friends' names. Kelly, you see people at church. Lots of people. You love because you put yourself out to help them. What does it seem like to you? Do church people come to church just to think about loving? Or do they love? And Mike, at work, well, with guys it's bound to be different. Even just yesterday, Ben, our son, was talking about the construction job he's been working on. And he said, you know, Mom, when you're working with a bunch of guys, you really got to watch out what you say. And try as hard as you can to keep what you say to an absolute minimum. Because no matter what you say, they'll quick look at you like, what do you mean by that? He went on to describe it a bit. It was just something he'd been thinking about. So it got me to thinking. But it wasn't just that. Anyway, I know guys aren't inclined to be vulnerable or verbal. It's always been that way. But is it more intense nowadays, what with all the push toward competitiveness that is broadcast in the media? And the media constantly reminding us of threats of a zillion kinds all around us? So maybe it's good to be on guard and to strive for the highest. But considering the extent to which the media pushes it, it could leave everybody climbing their own flagpole, competition, on their own ivory tower, security, and leaving them too far away from a good meal at a full table and a pat on the back. Call it friendship, call it love, call it dangerous, because it is, because people aren't always loving, that's for sure. But we need this sort of thing. And, well, take a look at those essays I wrote and see what you think. Okay, here comes the essays. I think I showed you those 2 pages. And maybe I better show you both. There's that one, and there's this one. This is one essay I wrote. Read it to you. Then there's another one. Ooh, no, it's just a, yes it is. Okay, where'd it go? There, see that? I better get it. I just blew it into the grass. See the grass right there? Okay. Okay, here's the first essay. It just says loving at the top. It doesn't bother me when a person says that they don't understand about God. God is vast, and things about him are complicated, so it's easy not to understand about him. But when they don't love, or when they cease to believe in love, that's scary, because that's what God and life are all about. Ever see a mother hold her child who is sick or hurt? Ever see a teacher who cares for one of their students beyond the bounds of mere teacherly concern? We've all seen it, surely. As a nation, we've seen it. We've even enshrined it in words or framed it on celluloid, mag tape, or digitally. But where has the love gone? Have we ceased to grow love like carrots because it can be bought in a store? Do we construct tables out of chunks and slabs of wood? Do we make cars? Do we weave rugs? No, nobody does. Well, do we love? I mean, do we construct kind phrases or buy a greeting card? Do we plant window boxes for our family or hang up a floral calendar? Do we sing for our loved ones or play for them a professionally pre-recorded song? Do we dot dot dot? Oh, you got the idea. So, am I just being crabby or is there something to this notion? Thing is, I love. Thing is, we don't have money. Thing is, I can't buy the greeting card. I do sometimes buy the cheap but beautiful calendar. I rarely plant anything, it's true. But we never watch other people love on film, not even just the kindly stuff. 'Cause God pointed out that, among other things, it's just too much secondhand living. Still, I hadn't noticed this thing about loving before. Okay, so maybe it's fine if all our food is store-bought. But then again, you can't buy real dirt under your fingernails. And you can't buy that funny ache in your legs and your back from bending over. And you can't buy the quiet rattle of the aspen leaves overhead, which is what we've been having here, of the aspen leaves overhead, or your weather in your sky on that particular day. So I wonder, what are people missing when they buy the fruits of love without ever planting and cultivating the seeds of love for themselves and others? I look in their eyes and I know something's missing, and it scares me to pieces. So I put a swirly line for the end, but underneath it I wrote the verse, the 3 words, dot dot dot, love one another, dot dot dot. And underneath that I put, there are 14 references for this one phrase, 2 of them Jesus' words, not to mention scores of other phrases on the same theme in the Bible. Love one another. 14 references for that. 14 places in the Bible. Okay. Now, guys, I'll just admit to you, my legs are getting a little sore from sitting here cross-legged. And, but I think I better read this one to you because it's the last of the essays. Okay, let's go. I didn't show it to you. Okay. We almost missed it, is what it's called. And it's just got 2 pages, just like the other one. I hope I showed you both of the other pages. I may have. I hope so. But we'll work it. Should I go back and show you? Here, I'm going to show you the second page of that. Just in case I didn't show it to you before. That's what it looks like. Okay. And you heard me read it. Okay, this one. We almost missed it. He was about 10 years old. He was lying on his side on a piece of cardboard in one of the subway tunnels in Romania. We lived in Romania back from 1991 to 1996. And also more recently from 2010 to 2014. So we're used to it in Romania. And here we were. This is back our first time over there. He was about 10 years old. He was lying on his side on a piece of cardboard in one of the subway tunnels in Romania. Lots of people were hurrying by that way, headed for home late at night. He was, quote, in bed for the night, end quote, but still watching as the crowds flowed past. It's not really card on a piece of cardboard. But still watching as the crowds flowed past. He had his hand out, palm up, a subtle hint in case anyone would like to give him money, even if he's sleeping. My kids were on ahead of me, as they had more energy than I. We had 5 kids back then. And then on, we ended up having a 6th over in Romania while we were there. adventures. Thank you, Lord. He doesn't just tell you go into all the world for their sake. It's also for your sake. You learn things, you learn new people, to care, how to care for people, how to call on Him. Where do I go? Where, Lord, help. And He does. It's for your sake too. He tells you to go. Even if it's across the street to your neighbor, or be kind to the cashier or the person next to you in the store. Okay. My kids were on ahead of me, as they had more energy than I. Even I got 6 steps past him before it dawned on me that I could do something, as I remembered those 2 shiny new 100 lei coins that I had stashed in my pocket for just this kind of thing. Yeah. Though my kids were ahead of me, they always kept good track of me. And besides, they were bogged down by the sacks they carried, so they wouldn't just speed off. I had time. I dug in my pocket for the coins. Got 'em. Well, I got stuff to carry too, but I dug in my pocket and got the coins and headed back to the boy. I wished I could take him home with us, but God hadn't given that kind of go-ahead. But this I could do. Mind you, for all your mind is racing, praying, thinking, you still have no idea just what you'll say or what will happen. 'Cause it's a person you're dealing with, and a complex person at that, and not a vending machine. As I got to where he lay, I squatted down, put the coins in his hand, and I put in brackets, 50 lei was a goodly amount back then. It could buy 2 loaves of bread. Though I couldn't help wishing it were 4 100 lei coins instead of only 2. So that could be 8 loaves, but you're going to have something else on the bread, etc. Okay, that's the end of the bracket. I put the coins in his hand. Then, brushing his cheek as though he were my own son, I said in Romanian, I have 5 children. Am 5 copii. In Romanian, I have 5 children. We looked at one another, guessing at each other's thoughts, sharing something called love. Isus, I said, to explain my love, and give him something to aim for, a password to listen for, and someone to love. It's not, and I wrote all that there and later thought, someone might think, it doesn't all happen at once, but the word Jesus, the name of Jesus, the person of Jesus, and the people who know him and speak of him, it opens doors. It helps you learn, grow. What Jesus said, his whole life was spent to teach us how to live. Neat. Not just, he healed people. He brought people back from the dead. But he taught. He told people, don't hate your enemy. Love your enemy. If someone slaps you, give him the other cheek also to slap. That is a lot to, and it wasn't just do it, but that's what you do. And you may end up with a friend. God will look after you. They even killed Jesus. He knew it. He knew it was coming. And he let him. So anyway, we find ways to follow him. So I better keep going here. Let's see. Isus, Jesus, I said, to explain my love and give him something to aim for, a password to listen for, and someone to love. By this time, my kids had returned. I looked at them and smiled. They understood. I looked back to him. Noapte bună. That's good night. And we headed for home again, with more than we had 5 minutes ago. A lot more, both given and received. And to think, we almost missed it. If I'd have kept going. So that's the end of the thing. But I did write another paragraph underneath here. We almost missed it. But we got it. I went back and talked with him that little bit. I didn't know a lot of Romanian. But it wasn't words we needed. It was love. And you can feel it. he could and I could. And the kids could. They came back and stood around and smiled at him, and then we all waved as we left. So at the bottom of the page, I wrote things we've learned. And then I'm going to stop this. At the bottom of the page, page 24, things we've learned. There's a dash, and then you can't always give a lot, but you can't let that stop you. Give a little. Next one, and you can't take every opportunity, but you mustn't let every opportunity pass. Next one, and it's not just the needy who need your love, but God can show you as you walk through life just when and where and who and how and why. That's the end of that little space I wrote. And at the bottom, Matthew chapter 6, verse 2. Therefore, when thou doest thine alms, ... And I notice, and I put, not if. Notice that Jesus said, when thou doest thine alms. He's assuming you're doing them. Alms is giving a little bit to people, needy people along the way. I guess I'll leave it at this. 31:33. It was. It's going on. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll get back to you with page 25 if I can. If it doesn't rain, thank you. Bye-bye. This is Terry Bale, and this is Writing and 3x5 Cards.